My dream was to just fully feel like you were inside of the video game. Completely forget about the real world.
How old were you when you started working there?
So I started building virtual reality headset prototypes when I was 14 or 15. And then I built the first prototype of what I'd call the Oculus Rift at 16. And then I formally turned it into a company when I was 18, launched the product when I was 19, and then sold the company a few years later to Facebook for a few $1 billion. So it was kind of a crazy arc for me.
Wow.
That was like, you know, that was I was putting myself through school.
Did you work with Carmack?
Yeah. Carmack was. John Carmack was one of my heroes growing up.
Love that dude.
And it was one of these crazy things where the universe kind of brought us together. I was working on my VR technology, and nobody was paying attention to VR back then. It was kind of a crazy person thing. Nobody was paying attention to what I was doing, but I was posting about it on this internet forum. And then John Carmack started posting on that same forum asking for help modifying his own Sony head-mounted display that he had bought to reduce the latency. And so I gave him a bunch of input on why he couldn't do it, why it was a impossible project, and because I had been trying to do the same thing. And then he ended up seeing the work I was doing on the Oculus Rift. And he said, hey, Palmer, can I buy one of these from you? I said, well, I'm not really selling these yet, but I'd be happy to lend it to you for free. And so I sent it to him. He ended up writing a review and posting it on his blog and said it was the best VR experience the world has ever seen. He introduced me to Sony. They tried to hire me to run their VR research and development lab. I turned them down. They doubled the offer. I turned that down. And then so John was kind of the guy who got me, like, really, he's kind of the first guy who got any public attention for me, where everyone was like, oh, if John Carmack says this is important, then this must be important. And then if you could believe it, 2 years later, after I started Oculus and started selling these, he actually left id Software and became the CTO of Oculus. So
yes.
we got then I had the incredible opportunity to work with one of my childhood heroes as my CTO. That was so
what
cool.
year was that?
That was 2012.
Okay,
so although
he came on the
joined,
podcast, I think 2016, you brought one.
Yeah. He joined in 2013. So I think it was June of 2013. So about a year after I started Oculus is when he joined as CTO.
Well, he showed us, and he was doing whatever the one is where I guess you have drumsticks. Is that what you have? And you're whacking stuff as it comes out of the sky. He showed us that, and like what a workout it is.
Probably with Beat Saber.
Yes,
yep,
Beat Saber.
He's a huge Beat Saber fan.
Oh, he was going nuts, and he was doing it really fast. I was like, this is nuts.
It is good fitness. It is good coordination training.
Yeah.
Beat Saber was great because it really busted this myth that VR was this totally inactive, be a fat, lazy slob thing. VR gaming, at least as it exists today, takes a lot more caloric expenditure than any other type of gaming. I mean, like,
for sure.
And like even more than like other motion games. Like, remember Wii Bowling and Wii Sports? Like, that's like one movement every once in a while. Like, Beat Saber is a full body workout.
What's really impressive is the boxing games. The boxing games are a really good workout.
Did you play, I think one of them was Creed by a company called Servios?
I don't remember what the name was. We had a couple different ones at the old studio in LA, and I'd work out with it. I'd put it on, and you do a round with these virtual boxers, and you really get a workout in. Your feet hurt. Like, you're like, wow, I'm utilizing a lot of movement here.
Yep. The company that did a few of those boxing games is this LA studio called Servios. And the two co-founders of that were actually guys who worked with me in the Army Research Lab that I worked in before starting Oculus. So it's one of those teeny tiny worlds. There were so few of us that really believed in VR in those days.
Is there a VR that like a professional boxer could use? Like, could you get VR to the point where you could program it with AI? So you could take like
I'd go further.
The movement of like a Sugar Ray Leonard or something like that and actually program it into the machine?
So I'd go further. It's not just something you could do. It's being done. There are boxers who are using this technology.
Really?
So like I know Logan Paul and Jake Paul, and have talked with them a lot about using virtual reality and how they're using it to do combat training. That's right.
Wow. Well, my thought was that you could actually emulate an opponent. So, like, say if you were supposed to fight Canelo Alvarez, well, we have this database of all Canelo Alvarez's performances and training footage. So you could calculate what his normal exchanges are, what his opening moves are, how he sets the hook up off the jab, he feints the right hand.
You're giving me crazy deja vu. Let me show you the text message that I was just doing with Logan Paul last night. I said, it's time to have robots fighting people. My dream is that you can have robots perfectly tuned to match your own current physical capability and progressively ramp up against yourself over time or against the greats. Like we were talking through, like, now, this was less VR. Well, are you even following some of the robot fighting league stuff?
Yes.
So that's controlled by VR. You put on a VR headset, you put on a motion capture suit, you teleoperate a robot. One of the things I've been talking with Logan about is the idea of having where you have one teleoperated robot versus an actual human. But then what we were talking about is this idea of having the robot learn from, like you're saying, learning from footage of not just the greats, but even yourself, so that it can be basically, you could fight against your style, your exact level of strength. And then, of course, you want to fight against the greats and see just how far you have to go and just get the shit kicked out of you.
The other thing I was thinking about, what a robot could do if you programmed it correctly, it would have a really accurate sense of distance, so it would be able to touch you instead of hurt you.
It could pull its punches.
Yes.
That's
which
a really
is
good
the
point.
best sparring partners.
Someone who can, so the mechanics of it are all the same, but you don't have the follow through of actually getting beat
it would
up.
have more control probably even than a person, right? So because you think of the precise movements that surgical robots are able to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could do this. The main thing that robots have is they have just such fast reaction time. And so you could put sensors in like a glove. You could have it where the moment that it hits, or even a ranging sensor, where, I mean, it could stop a millimeter away from you. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you could totally do that.
Is this something that someone's working out with?
This is
Robot
Fight League in San Francisco.
Oh,
so
this
actually,
is the Fight League.
this is a buddy of mine who's been working in VR for a really, really long time. So it's, again, what a tiny world of weird wackos. But yeah, Six Live has been working on, which is his real name, by the way. He's been working on VR stuff for the past 15 years, and he recently got into doing this robot combat sports league.
So that's that.
They're doing a big U.S. versus China fight in December. If you want me to get you tickets, I can make it happen. I can pull some strings.
Where is it? Where is it taking place?
I think it's going to be in San Francisco.
That's funny. I try to stay out of San Francisco. I also don't
Same.
really want to watch robots fight.
No.